Okay, so we're looking at a word problem that says that there is a model rocket that when you graph this, it's modeled by the equation h equals negative 5t squared plus 40t. That shows us the height in meters and time in seconds, okay? So what would your graph look like? Just by given this equation, what can you determine that your graph is going to look like? It's going to be reflected, so it's going to open down. So we know that it's going to look something like that. Okay, do we know where the x-intercepts are just by looking at the equation? No, it's not in factored form. Do you know where the y-intercept is? What we're asked to find is when the rocket will reach a height of 60 meters. We want to know after how many seconds. So what will be the t value when h is equal to 60? What form is this equation written in that was given? So it was h equals negative 5t squared plus 40t. What form is this? Okay. It's written in standard form. I can write plus 0. Does that change the equation? No. What value, we talked about this yesterday before your test, when it's written in standard form, so this is written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, what does c represent? Y-intercept. So we do actually know where the y-intercept is. It's going to be at 0. But what we don't know, what we're trying to find is the value of t, so how much time passes when it hits a height of 60, okay? We have two variables in our equation. We have a t and we have an h. In the question, we're told that we need to find t, we need to solve for t, when h is what? So what are we going to do with that information? Yes, thank you. So instead of writing h, I'm going to write 60 because I want to know the time when h is 60. Okay, so I want you to copy this down. 60 is equal to negative 5t squared plus 40t. Negative 5t squared plus 40t is equal to 60. I need to find t. Okay, so I want to make one side equal to 0, so I need to get rid of 60. So that becomes 60, take away 60. If I subtracted 60 from the right side, what do I have to do to the left side? Subtract 60. Okay, so take away 60 is equal to 0. So negative 5t squared plus 40t is equal to 0. We're trying to find our t, which is located on which axis on a graph? Which axis was the time would that be plotted on, x or y? We're looking at time and height. Good. So we're actually trying to find out the values of t. So where it hits the which axis? So we're finding the x-intercepts. I want to know what t is equal to. Let's factor this. Okay, so I know that there's a greatest common factor of negative 5. Okay, we want to get rid of the negative. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 5. So I'm left with negative 5 times what? What would be left inside the bracket? What's negative 5t squared divided by negative 5? T squared. What's positive 50 divided by negative 5? Negative 8t, good. And then a negative divided by a negative is positive what? 12. And this is all equal to 0, okay? Can we still factor this? Can I factor what's inside my bracket? Are there two numbers that you can multiply together to give us 12 that add up to negative 8? Positive 6 times positive 2 is 12, but what's 6 plus 2? Yep. Positive 8, but I need to figure out two things that I can add to give me negative 8. So what? Negative 6 times negative 2 is also positive 12, and negative 6 plus negative 2 is negative 8. So this works. So this would be written as negative 5 bracket. What are the two factors? T minus 6 and t minus 2. Okay, so t is equal to 6 and t is equal to 2. So what does that mean in this question? Let's go back and look at the question. Remember, the question said, how much time passes when the height is 60? Well, I found that t is equal to 2 and t is equal to 6. Okay, t represents the time. So that means after 2 seconds, right, the rocket will be at 60 meters. And so that's after 2 seconds, and after 6 seconds, the rocket will also be at 60 meters, because the rocket's going up to 60, then it keeps going up, and then it comes back down and it hits 60 meters again. Does that make sense if you look at the parabola? So there's 2 intervals of time when it hits 60 meters. Okay, so I just graphed this on Desmos. I plugged in the equation that the question had given us originally, which was h equals negative 5t squared plus 40t. And if we look, we can check our answer. Here's 60. This is our height. 60 has 2 coordinates, okay? And if we scroll down to the bottom, which I can't do now, but after 2 seconds, so this would be at 2 seconds, and after, what was the other answer, 6? 6 seconds, the rocket's going to reach a height of 60 meters. What's the highest point that the rocket reaches, according to this graph that now that you can see? What was the highest point it reached? How high did the rocket go? Julius? 80 meters, okay? And how many seconds did it take for it to reach 80 meters? What's in between 2 and 6, right? This is the midpoint, the axis of symmetry. 2 plus 6 divided by 2. Oops, 8 divided by 2. So after 4 seconds is when it hit the highest point. And then again, 2 seconds later, it went back down to 60 meters.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.